All right, we're going to take it to MLS Cup. Boy, what a show it was in Los Angeles. Classic, Hollywood, New York. Landon Donovan is just everywhere here for us. Ricky Puig. I love that he suited up for the final, by the way. What about this to start things off? Minute 9, Casey, Joseph Paintsil.
Yeah, you think you want to be a little bit more compact centrally and not let that through ball come through. But and then if you didn't learn the first time, let's do it a second time.
What is that? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice.
I don't know about you, Case, but the first one I thought Coronel could have done a lot more. With this one, I don't think he could have done much.
Well, you got to obviously engage further up the pitch, but good on LA. They took what they were given, and and also with the Red Bulls getting back into the match.
Yeah, when we talk about it defensively, Mao not being able to get this ball out with so many bounces in the area, but Red Bull takes it.
It all starts with a set piece. I told her during the week if Red Bulls are going to have a chance, maybe set pieces trying to defend, and then this was the chance. This was the chance by the best players. Just it hits the post, goes wide right. I mean, just what a moment. That was the draw of the tie for Red Bulls.
Yeah, it definitely was. That awkward moment when the whistle blew, but it didn't, and I already saw Ricky Puig running onto the field. It's still crazy to me that he has a torn ACL and he's still able to trot on the field. But here it is. LA Galaxy wins it 2-1 after an unbelievable run there from Red Bulls. We talked about Marco Reus last week as well, and what this means now to him. A 6th title. That's an MLS record. It's his first MLS Cup win since 2014. LA Galaxy now, 10 years later, they do it again.
10 years later, and if you follow this league, that's crazy to think it took 10 years for another one.
Yeah, let's hear some reactions.
It's just amazing with this special group, special players. Like everybody was so positive in the last weeks, beginning of the playoffs. So. Big congratulations to all of them.
It means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family. It means a lot to Ghanaians. It means a lot to the LA supporters. Words cannot even describe how I feel now. But all I have to say is thanks to the LA Galaxy fans and the people that support us through sweat and blood till now.
I was here as a kid, right? I mean, I was in those stands as a kid with my parents. Growing up, seeing Kobe Jones, seeing those guys, right? And I wanted to be out there. That was my dream, right? But now to be on the other side of it, coming to the stadium on the bus, man, the emotions were building up. And to finally be out there, represent, I was going to do no wrong. I was going to give everything I had for this club. And when that final whistle blew, I couldn't hold back my tears. I was just filled with joy.
We can see evidently what it means for Marky Delgado. What do you think of his run? Because we talked about him in the conference final, and now we're seeing him here celebrating.
Yeah, listen, I know that and this is one of those games that's very difficult to pick an MVP. The LA Galaxy off the gate, the first 20, 25 minutes, they were very, very good. First 15 minutes, we're already up 2-0.
Yeah.
It's Brugman who gets the MVP in this game. He has the opening assist to Joseph Paintsil, a very well-placed, well-weighted ball. Paintsil's path. Paintsil finishes it off. I think Coronel could have done a little bit more there. But my MVP for this match, and for my money, was Mark Delgado. And I just thought he was absolutely amazing with it. And this is the opening assist right here. Brugman, very good ball.
So good.
Right there. Right into the path of Joseph Paintsil. It's great. And he was good on both sides of the ball. But I think Marky brought something that was just so needed, that balance. He's an 8 that can play as a 6, go forward as a 10, two-way duality to his game, box to box. He was everywhere in this game. And again, I will repeat, it's very difficult to give an MVP in this type of game when nobody really stands out for you offensively. It shows you how gritty these games can be, but I thought Delgado today was very good. And I have to give Greg Vanney a lot of credit, because we're sitting here talking about Marco Reus is going to be the guy who comes in alongside Mark Delgado in for Ricky Puig. And no, he throws everybody for a loop, and it's Brugman, Delgado, and Cerrillo. And that midfield was absolutely dominant. I mean, Edelman for the New York Red Bulls was chasing shadows. They had no way of really controlling the tempo, and they had to go route one, and they had to be set pieces, because in that midfield for the Galaxy, when they were running, when they were gunning, when they were in transition, it was very difficult for Red Bull to deal with it. That was the turning moment of this game, is when Greg Vanney decided to play those three.
Do you agree, Mel?
I do agree, and it's not that we saw it coming, but I remember her breaking it down last Monday when we were here, and then I heard you guys on Thursday as well. And I thought, when we were wondering how's the Galaxy gonna cope without Riqui Puig? It's not easy to play without your playmaker, one of the best players in 2024. And when Herc says he gives Greg Vanney a lot of credit, I give him even more credit, because when you make decisions like that before a final, before the game that's gonna decide who is the champion of 2024 in Major League Soccer, you gotta trust the players that have been with you for a long time. And the way Marc Delgado has handled himself during the season, not always a starter, not playing all the minutes, but playing at the level that he did. Number one, his talents and his experience in Major League Soccer plays a massive role, but also the fact that Greg Vanney trusted him, that he could do the job, and he delivered. Big reason why the Galaxy won the trophy.
Yeah, how big was this for Greg Vanney, Casey?
Well, I mean, Greg's been there a few years now, and I mean, was with this task of getting Galaxy back on the map. Yeah. And it took a little while. I like the confidence that the club had, that they didn't,
patience.
Yeah, good patience, but there seemed to be a progress. I mean, and I think we saw over the last couple of years that they were getting closer and closer, and
right.
They started bringing in some pieces that were working. And am I right? Second in the West?
Yes.
Behind LAFC?
The last day of the season.
Barely, yeah.
Barely, but
they led
there.
most of the season.
Yeah. So it's a situation where it's not the team that snuck into the playoff, got hot, made a transfer that worked, and somebody started scoring goals. No, they've been consistent over the last couple of years. This year, even better. And then finish it off with an MLS Cup.
If I may, I mean, Greg Vanney was under immense pressure. There was a fan boycott, and
I remember that.
And it pretty much led to Chris Klein leaving the organization. Will Kuntz is now in the organization calling the shots. The next guy on that chopping block was Greg Vanney, and he wasn't in good standing or good favor with the fans. They were ready to give up on him. Greg Vanney preached that this was a brotherhood, a team, that he needed time. Trusted these players, because the model for the LA Galaxy was you go out and you get the international superstar. You go out and you get David Beckham, Steven Gerrard, you get Robbie Keane.
Robbie Keane kind of ran the show for a few years.
You get these players, you get...
They won trophies.
Those teams won.
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
You get even though you get a Zlatan, you get this Chicharito, you get the name brand, and he's like, no, I need players that I can trust to help me win. And he does things his way and completely turns it around. You mentioned it. They were leading the West practically all year. It was 1-2-3, 1-2-3. They were there all year. They didn't lose the West until the final day, decision day, to their own doing. And something like that, where they can't pick up a vital win or vital result against a Houston on decision day, most teams, that would affect them mentally going into the playoffs. It didn't affect them. They came out stronger out of the gates. They believed in the way they played, because this was a situation where a lot of teams changed the way they played in playoffs. New York, an example. New York said, we got to go to a line of 5. We've got to be grittier, harder to play against. We can't just go full press. We have to be somewhat in a low to mid block. We've got to change our style, change our ways. The guy said, no, we don't change for anybody. We are who we are. We're going to have the ball. We've got players that are very potent in the offensive side. We are who we are. And they trusted that process.
And to lose one of their key players.
And lost
still
one
do
of
it.
And still said, we're going to be this team.
Which is a big, I have a lot of respect for that.
Yes.
I just want to add one more thing. This is not a knock on anybody, but
Here comes the knock.
We asked the question when Inter Miami was eliminated from the competition. How bad was this for Major League Soccer? Right? And we said, well, yeah, this is the biggest ticket, right? This is Messi, Suarez, Busquets. But at the same time, it was a blessing in disguise. Because I think for Major League Soccer, it's a big thing that the Galaxy are back where they are supposed to be all the time. One of the teams competing for the title, winning the title, but doing it the right way, quote unquote right way. Again, there's no knock on anybody. I give Inter Miami tip of the cap for bringing players with the caliber of the international superstars that they have. But as the Mandalorian would say, this is the way. This is the way you win in this league.
The right way is any way you can get to lift that cup. That's the right way. But the reality of things is the Galaxy, sans Inter Miami for obvious reasons. If you can take Inter Miami out of the equation for obvious reasons, Messi and friends, take them out of the equation. Most people around the world, when you ask them what team in Major League Soccer do you know of, they're going to say the LA Galaxy.
Easy.
Oftentimes, they think players around the world, they say, hey, you want to go play in Los Angeles? They don't know about LAFC. They just think the LA Galaxy because of the brand name and historically how the league has been.
Yeah, that was great for them, and the fact that they were able to lift the trophy at home. Casey, how big
I think
was this for them?
when MLS changed that with that match in Toronto where, who was it? It was Colorado against
Dallas.
Yes, and
sir.
there was like 6 people at the stadium because it was cold and nobody cared.
Oh, no.
And then MLS made that decision to say, okay, regular season, best record gets to host. And, you know, I think it's made a big difference because there's always that criticism in a league where 8 teams in a division make the playoffs. And so what's the point of the regular season? Well, LA Galaxy made the point of having the best record to win the match at home. You know, look, the MLS final in Seattle when, Lumen was sold out in an hour of 68,000 and, you win the trophy at home.
We called that game.
It makes a difference. And look, I love the idea of the Super Bowl. Of course, you've got this neutral site but we're not there yet. So to have it somewhere where it matters, either is the away team that gets to then taunt all the home fans when you just won a trophy in their stadium, or that joy of winning in front of your home fans.
I was actually there. It was not Lumen Field, it had a different name, when the Galaxy lost the title against Real Salt Lake.
Yeah, in 2009.
Was it called Quest?
Yeah.
2009.
It was CenturyLink.
CenturyLink, 2009.
Yeah.
That was my first time covering an MLS Cup, right? Final. And first of all, that was the David Beckham team.
Yeah.
I think he missed the penalty.
Nick Raimondo, MVP performance.
Correct. But my first thought was, it is weird that we're having a final at a neutral stadium. And there was a large Galaxy fan base that traveled.
Sure.
Not as large for Real Salt Lake. But then fast forward, 9 years when we got to do that final? And I was in shock to experience what we experienced that night. The atmosphere of a low home team with a true home field advantage. I got chills calling that game, let's be honest. And it was a great game, by the way.
Well, and the way the game played, the Sounders had a very poor first half, but they defended well, found a way to stay in the game, made adjustments at halftime, and then comfortably
But the fans mattered. It mattered that they were playing at home.
And they weren't playing well.
And
the fans were getting
getting
antsy because they weren't playing well.
Yeah, I remember the atmosphere was very good. Usually all the games in Lumen Field, the Seattle Sounders are very good in atmosphere. If I could bring it back just quickly to the LA Galaxy, for this fan base to do the boycott the way they did, get accountability from ownership. Dan Beckerman, the people at Anschutz Entertainment, Chris Klein leaves, Will Kuntz comes in, to have that transpire in the way it did and get rewarded with a home MLS Cup and seeing your team, who 10 years ago was the absolute class of Major League Soccer, seeing them now lift the cup in the same city where not too long ago you had to watch the neighbor lift an MLS Cup, that had to be an extremely, extremely just good feeling for them.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
But I think
all
it's
around.
also good for the league. Having some competition, and I think that also. I remember in that match, Mao, as he goes to grab his mic pack.
Sorry, not trying to make it awkward at all.
I remember sitting behind the goal the day before training, and I'm gonna drop a couple names like Mao dropped his mic. That I was with Drew Carey.
Yeah.
And we were kind of behind the goal, and Mr. Anschutz and his wife were there. And he kind of said, hey, you guys in Seattle kind of kicked the rest of the league up the backside to show them how we can move forward.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then I think the Galaxy got that next kick up the backside when LAFC kind of came into town.
Yep.
And then what I love seeing, to your point, is the reaction.
Yeah.
Is the idea of, okay, we've had a bad spell. We're going to change this. We're going to get competitive again, and we're going to raise a trophy. And I think it's, again, it's, you know, I would have a really, really hard time protesting anything that Mr. Anschutz has done for my team because of
how fundamental he's been
what
to the league.
he has done.
I mean, his name's on the trophy.
Well, and his name's on the trophy because there would be no league without Mr. Anschutz.
Yeah, of course.
And so, but in the end, the reward came.
Sometimes clubs, teams throw this line just to come in place. You fans should feel a part of this championship. But in this case, I really feel that the Galaxy fans should feel like they had a lot to do with the way the team found this turnaround so quickly, because they demanded better. They have standards as a club. And there's been players that have done it before, and they were not happy with the way things were done with the Galaxy. So the Galaxy fans also should feel like they played a big, big part of how the team performed and how the team was built, and the patience that they had with Greg Vanney, former champ. He's done it before, and rightfully so. They deserve to be 2024 champions.
Yeah, just to have that consistency. But it's a great story because we've seen many times where a fan base is just fed up and they ask for the owner to step down, and it just doesn't happen. The fact that it happened and they were able to turn this around and lift a trophy, like you said, the fans definitely are a huge part of this.
Are you a Valencia fan?
Am I a Valencia fan? No, I do know Valencia fans, so. Hola, Blanca.
Don't ask her about her
Hola, Blanca.
fandom, because that's going to hurt me a little later.
I heard.
in the show.
Oh, yeah. I want to bet. Well, we'll talk about that later.